An age ago, the beating heart of our people was a king who knew only victory. He wanted nothing more than an honorable death on the battlefield. Yet, none could match him, and so he wandered the earth, becoming lost in time and tide. Then we too lost our honest purpose, while silk-clad men sat upon the throne. But tremble now, all cities that lay under the stars, for out of the shadows and mists of the land of promise, our courage has been rekindled, our heart has returned, and the world will burn.
Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to Comic Book Team Up. I'm here with RJ from the Fourth Age. It looks like I'm sitting here in the dark. How's everything, RJ? Are you there? Are you on fire? Canada's on fire right now. RJ might have to evacuate.
Well, not so much that. It's the thunderstorms today. Holy, they were just constant every about 2 hours. I got wicked thunderstorms and the rain just torrential. So if you lose me, that might be why.
If we lose you, it's because you got swept away in a torrent.
Just let everybody know I got here. Well, I tried to get here early, which means I got here on time. So I was sitting here. John was distracted, and I just heard his mic was on. All I heard was people screaming and buildings crashing. I thought he had the window open. Either that or he's watching Godzilla, one or the other.
I was playing Civilization, waiting for you. Barbarians were attacking. I like to have the barbarian level up as high as possible, because I prepare for them, and the AI civs don't, so they kind of help you. So, in case anybody's wondering, I stopped playing Civ at 5. 6 was awful, and I didn't even get 7. I heard people just complaining that they switched out teams for after 5. They got like a whole new development team, and instead of like conflict and war, they're trying to like stress like problem solving and everything. Like that ain't Civilization. That ain't Civilization. Civilization is a struggle to survive game. So I still play Civilization 5, holding out hope that Civilization 8 will be returned to form.
I don't think I played Civilization since probably the mid 90s or whenever it came out.
Yeah, I started playing it, I think, at 2. I never played 1. Ben Samar, voice actor. How you doing? We got storms in Texas tonight as well. Hope you have a blessed day. It looks like it's about to storm here in New York, but the skies are orange from the forest fires in Canada. So it was 96 degrees, humid. I'm working inside of an enclosed area, hot as could be, with 200 other freaking guys drilling and hammering and sawing, and then we got smoke from the Canadian fire. today was unbearable. I was Mr. Cranky Pants today.
Well, John, you're taking it all from us because it's going straight down into New England and New York, and we're not getting any of the smoke on the East Coast. So,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah. Just like always, America's absorbing Canada's problems.
It's only 86 here today, so not too bad. Good
Yeah,
beach.
we subsidize your medicine, we subsidize your defense, and we get all your hate. Did you ever read those Rebo Williams, the Destroyer novels?
Oh yeah, there was I don't know if I told you this before, but the guy who about 5 years ago was writing the Remo Williams book contacted me at one point, and we
Oh,
talked about coming on my channel, but it never actually developed.
because the guy that trained Rebo Williams, I forget the Asian guy, they had like they defended like a village, like the original guy who trained Remo Williams, and it's some village in Asia someplace, and they ended up resenting him, like he would just walk around, like, because there was no fighting. He was such a good defender that it just seemed like this guy was walking around and doing nothing, and they're feeding him and everything like that, and they ended up resenting him, so he ended up leaving. It was like, okay, fine, but that's how I look at Canada. It's like, dude, you guys hate us, and like we are the best thing that ever happened to Canada. We give you cheap medicine, we subsidize your military. If not for us, I don't know. You just be
Like Switzerland for North America.
right.
Don't do anything; you just protected by on all sides.
Right. Yeah. At least Japan is nice about it. We're Japan's military. At least they're cool. They love us. Nobody more patriotic than the Japanese. I'm kind of fascinated with Japan now. Ever since Twitter like auto translated, and I'm getting people from Japan to just like asking questions about America and loving America. I'm like, I want to go to Japan and just hang out with these Japanese people. I'm not even into anime or anything. I just love how enthusiastic they are. Like, we can't get Americans to be enthusiastic about America. Might as well go to Japan. And I'll be that. I wanted to buy a house in Japan. I was reading that they got like dirt cheap houses, like in like rural areas. You're not going to get anything in Tokyo, but I'm handy. I go to Japan. I pretty soon work's going to be slow, and there's going to be like 4 months off again, like it always is. I'll go to Japan for 4 months, build up the house, and then retire in Japan. First world country, good medicine, no crime. I'll learn the language. I'll be a perfect Japanese citizen. Look at me.
It's fun. I think it is the fact that they have some kind of laws that basically make it more expensive to knock down a house than to actually let it just sit there and pay the taxes on it. So everybody just lets the old houses just sit and rot.
Yeah, like
instead of knocking them down.
No joke. You could buy a house, somewhere. I don't know where it is, but like you could buy a house for like $4,000 American dollars. I can get my tax returns and buy a house, in Japan. Why not?
I was watching a YouTube channel where a guy, he was up in the mountains. He was Japanese though. He bought an entire school. It was, elementary school. That's where he lives. There's nobody there. He has the run of the whole place.
Yeah, I'd do it. I'd be the best. I'd be the best Japanese citizen. I'd be polite. I'll do whatever they want. Pete Rock, this is my friend Pete. He says, without Canadian players, the NHL will go downhill. That's one thing. All right. So Canada gets subsidized medicine and free military, and we get we did get Captain Kirk, so that's good. It's a shame. I think most Americans want to like Canadians. Kind of rude. Yeah, me too. I've always liked Canadians. They were always nice. My wife is Canadian. I always thought they were just nice, and I think because America was the force field, I think they grew up in such a nice, pleasant place that they became super tolerant, ironically, which will be their demise. If Canada had just a little bit more hardship, maybe they would be overrunning by India right now. Because that's all Canada is a suburb of India at this point. Hey, RJ, you got yourself a super chat over there.
Mr. Bailey, thank you very much once again. Those who self-identify as dissonant right, aka alt or far right, claim that Christianity invented liberalism and therefore is indirectly responsible for the downfall of the West. Any thoughts? Well, see, here's the thing. Here's my two thoughts on this whole thing. There's plenty of heresies in Christianity. You can go through the 2,000 years and see them pop up over and over and over again. I think that liberalism is just one of those heresies that basically came out of Christianity, because it does come out of the ideas, like most of the ideas that we base everything on right now are from the church history, like our law systems, unless you're French, are from the church law system, the idea of rights, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's just Christianity has the unfortunate, well, I'll say unfortunate, but it's not really unfortunate, but has the distinction of allowing people to worship how they wish in a very specific way, because it's all about the will. And so there is a lot of heresies, and one of those is liberalism, because it's an extension of the will in a direction of vice. So you're absolutely right, TM Billy. But they're saying that it's our fault for liberalism. Well, it's not our fault. It's our fault for allowing people to be as free as they are. So, what do you do? 6 of one, half dozen of another. I'll take the freedom. If it gives us heretics, we'll just have to deal with them.
Zach Dan says Civilization 2 Test of Time was peak. Yeah, I like Civilization 4 a lot. As usual, it's the government elites not getting absolutely. It's always all the problems. I will say this here to everybody: 90% of all your problems, whatever your problems are, 90% of them is because of the government. 10% of them are you. 0% are other people. Unless you're kidnapped, 0% of your problems. It's 10% you, 90% the government. Canada didn't give the U.S. Captain Kirk. That was the Ukraine, Israel. Okay, well, roundabout way. Not Ukraine, Latvia or something like that. One of those. Canadian demographics about the same as yours. We have no stones to throw. Yeah, we're committing suicide too. Saying Christianity made liberalism is like saying cops made crime. Lucky I decided to refresh YouTube, see if it was live. Yes, you are so lucky, Vaz. You don't know how lucky you are. You get to see me and RJ. You're the luckiest person in the world. Without Christianity, there would be not much of a concept of the West. It would be a bunch of different pantheons fighting each other. Yeah, I forget it. RJ, was it you who said this? Maybe it was you on one of your Saturday sermons. But like when somebody, because I was talking about how I think Western civilization is under attack, and they corrected me. This what you're calling Western civilization, only 25 years ago we called it Christendom. And I was like, yeah, you're right, and I've also been realizing that no other religion extends the grace and goodwill to the non-Christians than Christianity. Even Jews, you're Gentiles. The Orthodox don't believe that we have souls. They believe that we have animal souls. They call us goyim. The Hindus, I don't know, maybe the Hindus, but the Hindus, the Buddhists think we have, bad people. Forget about Islam. We must convert or be killed. But Christianity says they are touched by God. They are worthy of living. They're blessed. They have rights. They're made in the image of God. No other religion does it. And we take that for granted. All of these people that hate the West and hate America and I'm talking about like Americans that are progressives, basically. They take it for granted. They can't see the forest for the trees, or they can't see the water for the ocean. All the rights that we have, 100% is because of Christianity. And even Hutchinson, the atheist, said he would rather live in a Christian America than a Christian West than non-Christian. Like it or not. Look, we all agree the 80s were the peak, where the religious right were in power. There's two things that makes culture great. The right is in power, like the Christians are in power, and instead of everybody smoking pot, they're doing cocaine, because the cocaine makes everybody extroverted. They go outside their house, they do stuff, they build things, they try to pick up chicks, they wear bell bottoms, they wear fluorescent clothes, they run around, they play guitars really loud. You smoke pot, you sit home, you play video games, and you don't talk to anybody. So we need Jesus, and we need cocaine.
Funny thought off what you were saying, John.
Bye, everybody.
I kind of realized this, I think it was in the 90s when I was watching the news. You go and look at other people's news around the world, and it really shocked me when I first realized it, but you'll see how other cultures see the people, the people who are not them, as subhuman in the fact that if they get in some kind of conflict, we'll kill like 20 of yours for every one of ours that gets killed. Right? It's like, that's how much they dehumanize the other side. Whereas we try not to do that with, we'll say Christendom, as we're talking about, right?
Yep. Vazvaz says we had to burn a lot of witches to get here. Yeah, and I was one of these lefties that was like, oh, these poor. But now I realize once women get in power, all they want to do is cheat on their husbands and kill their babies. So you know what? Let's burn more witches. I'm pro Solomon Kane these days. Like what happens? Like it's like it's getting to be a joke. There could be like this guy running. He's like, I promise to enslave all of humanity, take away all your wealth, but you can have unlimited abortions. You'd see every woman out there pulling the lever for that guy. It's just like enough's enough. I just saw a horrible case today of two gay men got a surrogate. I think this is in England, and they inseminated an egg, put it in this woman or whatever. I don't know. She got pregnant, and then a medical scan said that the baby was going to have like a cleft palate, so they told her to abort the baby, and she said no, and they sued her for $200,000 for breach of contract. The baby is born and it's perfectly healthy. So these two gay men are suing a woman for not murdering a perfectly healthy baby. Now, first off, all of this surrogate stuff should be outlawed. Either we can buy humans or we can't. You know what I mean? If I'm sorry, people, but if your body can't develop a child on its own, then go and adopt a kid. There's plenty of kids that need adopting. Like, if nature's telling you we can't have a baby, that goes for gay people. Go and adopt a kid. And you know what? I don't even want gay people adopting kids anymore. I'm sorry. I'm turning into an old crotchety right-wing curmudgeon. And no cheating in Monopoly.
So one of the weird things that's going on up here, John, has been for the last like 10, 15 years, and certain provinces have different ways to deal with adopting kids. And basically that's why a lot of the Amish are moving out of central Canada towards the East Coast, because central Canada is basically saying you can't adopt kids anymore because of your religious views. And it's getting to the point where they're starting to deny basically Catholics who follow their actual religion from adopting children as well. So, weird things go on in this world, John. We were talking about Canada just a little while ago.
Well, Jules seems to be a little bit more extreme than me, but I view everybody as human, and I view everybody as having some sort of, either you value human life or you don't. And that goes for the unborn also. But not everybody is American. In order to become American, you have to appreciate the Constitution. I saw a politician, and I forget if it was Minnesota or Texas, a Muslim, and he says he believes in freedom of speech. No, he believes in freedom of religion. And they asked him about Christianity. He said, oh, Christianity is a false religion, so it doesn't count. So you don't believe in freedom of religion. No, he believes in freedom of his religion. So, like, how could that guy be in office? So I firmly believe that Islam is fundamentally incompatible with the Constitution of the United States, because part of Islam is compulsion. We will convert you, and if you are converted and you tried to leave, we will kill you. That invalidates it as a religion. And if you want to come here, you have to convince us. I don't care if your city's on fire, that you value the Constitution. And part of the Constitution is inalienable rights and freedom of religion. And if you, Christianity is a false religion. We don't value that. Goodbye. Are flags still around in your places? Yeah. Any flag except for flags about sexuality. I don't want a flag because you like anal sex. I don't need a flag because you like anal sex, and I don't want to see a flag because you like anal sex. You know what I mean? Like, is there the straight white guy? I had sex with my wife last night. Nobody needs to know that. You know what I mean? Whatever happened to the left was like, keep the government out of my bedroom. Well, now it's just like we want everybody in the bedroom knowing our business. Shut up. We've become a narcissistic. I'm arguing with my brother about banned books. My brother all of a sudden decided to read, and he read Animal Farm. Good for him. It's a good story. He has over his head that it's about anti-communism. And somebody said to him, oh, you're reading a banned book, and he's like, yeah, it's a banned. I was like, oh, where did you get it? He's like, Barnes and Noble. So I was like, oh, pretty easy to get for a banned book. I said, there is no such thing as banned books in America. I said, because some local school district took a book out of their library, either two things happened. They got a small room and there wasn't enough room, so they got rid of books that nobody's reading, or a parent said this book is inappropriate for the students, and they challenged it and got the book removed. I said, that is democracy. I said, because nobody comes to your house and gives you books and says, these are the books that need to be in your library. I said, but for some reason, we think the school teachers or the Department of Education or whatever gets to decide what books to. I said, that is democracy in action. Local schools should be run by the parents of the community. Saying that books are banned because the school doesn't want, PTA doesn't want that book in their off is the same as saying cigarettes are banned because they don't want cigarettes around little kids. R-rated movies are also banned because we decided that it's not appropriate for little kids. They're not banned. Parents have the right to decide what their children are exposed to. But I noticed, they could take out that book by the Frenchman written in 1920. I'm blanking out on the title, where the premise of the book is 100,000 Indians moved to France and destroyed France. That book is out of print, and if you do find it, you're paying $400 for it at a local. That's a banned book. It's a coincidence that right-wing books you can't get anywhere. They're not, but left-wing books, they got end caps at Barnes and Noble on sale with the big sign that says banned books on them. Camp of Saints. Thank you, Jewel. That's the name of the book. Thank you. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. And my brother just hook, line, and sinker just buys banned books. You went and got this. You got 1984 at Animal Farm at Barnes and Noble 4 days ago. You walked in, you bought it. Because somebody in Florida objected to that book for whatever reason. It's now a banned book, but that's the way propaganda works. That's the way the left works. I'm going to write a list of banned comic books. I'm going to put Heroic Tales on the top. And then, RJ, I want you to repeat that. This is a banned comic book. And next thing you know, everybody will buy my comic book because somebody made a list, somebody repeated the list, so therefore it's true, right?
I'm really surprised that someone hasn't tried to cancel Robert E. Howard and all his Conan stories just because of his view of evolution, right? About, evolving from monkeys and de-evolving into monkeys and all this kind of stuff, and how he treats different races in his stories. If you read them and you know what basic years he was writing them in, you know exactly what he's talking about. I think that's the only reason that it skipped under the radar.
Like what's his name? John Norman, who wrote those Gore books. That guy was canceled, and you couldn't get his books for like 15 years. If you wanted to get those Gore books, you paid an exorbitant. Now there's some press that prints them on demand that you can get them. But I just think it's funny that any left-wing book that is banned, it's got a big end cap in Barnes and Noble with a big sign, banned books. It's like, where? On what planet is The Handmaid's Tale banned? Where? In a Muslim country, it's banned. The Muslim country is banned. But go, my brother. Hey, Mike, go find Camp of Saints. Go buy that book. See, tell me what books are banned. Or a lot of David Irving's books are hard to get in the U.S. and UK. I actually think banned in Germany. His crime wrote a biography about Hitler. Didn't mention the Jew burning. Oh, there you go. Or I don't know. There's another book. I can't think of the title of it. But I just have to laugh at the concept of banned books in America. Some local school district didn't want. When I was a school teacher, my school got rid of a book of poetry by Maya Angelou because one of the parents objected because there was like a reference to oral sex in it. Well, you know what? My school was kindergarten to 6th grade. They don't need books with references to oral sex. Does that mean Maya Angelou is banned by Democrats in New York? No. You know what I mean? Knock it off, people. But everybody hears one sentence out of context and starts screaming. And then when you explain it to them, they don't care. They don't. I'm convinced that arguing with people is a waste of time.
This is why I think, and I also make sure that everything that I do has some kind of printed copy. I was watching a video not too long ago. They were talking about how basically 90% of what was printed on the internet, solely on the internet from when it started, is gone now. It's just gone. poof, gone. And they'll be able to ban, we'll say, books or get rid of books a lot easier when they're only have a digital footprint
Oh
and there's
yeah.
nothing else, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. They'll be editing them. We've already seen it. You know, some books are being edited and changed. You know, what's his name? Me and my friends, we played our role playing game, Villains Vigilantes. We played every Friday for years, and you know, every Friday I would be all excited because I drank a pot of coffee, and then I would write up our adventure on our forum that we. It was like $25 a year to maintain like a forum, and we just posted and posted and posted. And about a year ago, we had to take it down because it was like $600 a year because it was just like so outdated. So it really made me sad. I'm like, this is all lost. You know, all 20 years of stories and adventures and of goofing on each other. But then my friend Paul just found some AI program and he just fiddled around with it, and now we have it back. Like it's in private. Only like the 6 of us have access to it. But man, it was sad to see 20 years of of writing gone. You know, my friend writing stuff, I'm writing stuff. You know, so I can only imagine just how much information is lost. It's just like early Hollywood. A lot of those films are gone. You know, those silver nitrate stocks. Film exploded and burnt down warehouses. You know, there's a lot of lost movies. Even if I disagree with it, I don't want to see these movies and films and books disappear. But I agree with you. Get hard copies, ladies and gentlemen. I think people are finally getting the message. Get hard copies. And I know RJ and I talked about this before. We buy old dictionaries. If I go to garage sales and I see like old dictionaries, I'll buy them. And it's just fun to look up words and see how the definitions have drifted over time.
I was just going through the back section of what is it? It's basically a thrift shop today, John, looking at the book, see if there's anything worth looking for. I go to the reference section and I go to the oversized section. I avoid the novel section, but you know, I look for unique things. And dictionaries is one of the things I look for.
If pee-pee goes in vagina, not mouth, and certain farm animals. But other than that, no, I'm just being funny. We'll keep it family friendly. But I don't know. The world is getting crazy and it's getting worse. It's, you know, like when they say like a drunk has to hit rock bottom before they get better. Like, RJ, are we going to hit rock bottom yet? Like, are we turned? Is it getting better yet, or is it going to get worse?
Let me. I'll run a conspiracy theory I just thought of
Cool.
over the last week for everybody. Okay, so I was listening to them talk about how there might be a large crash and recession pretty soon because of AI, and it's basically the same as the dot-com bubble from the 90s, right? So everybody invested in it and moved and figured out that this was their new thing that was going to save civilization, whatever, and drive it forward, and it popped, and all of a sudden we had a massive recession. So they're saying the same thing's probably going to happen with AI. And my question is this: do you think? Because I think this is possible. I'm not saying I believe this, but I'll say this is very possible that there's a lot of hype around AI, but the people who are in power hyped it up even more to the nth degree so that there would be such a big crash, because they do not want the people who are starting to get into power now to have any kind of leverage, and they want them to go back to international way of thinking, because you got a whole lot of nationalism starting to rear its head. You got it in the States with Donald Trump. You got Marine Le Pen in France. She's like skyrocketing in the polls if she can actually run for president. You got not the Reform, but the other party, the new party that Carl keeps talking about in Great Britain. All these things, they're starting to take, they're starting to get traction. You think that maybe they're hyping up AI way too much, so that when it crashes, there will be a massive recession, and they will be able to blame the right wing, quote unquote, parties that are in power.
They're setting up the scapegoat.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't following you. Now I get it. So there's going to be a recession, and now we could, because it's like New York. They always. Oh, it's the capitalists' fault. It's the capitalists' fault. Meanwhile, it's like, it's capitalists' fault. It's never communists' fault. And everything's climate change. Yeah. I see. That's actually a scary. I don't know. Maybe you give the leaders too much credit, but are they that? Are they that manipulative? Maybe. Maybe.
I don't know, central banks and things like that, John. I don't think it's very much the politicians because they're not smart enough. But central
Oh,
bankers and people who really control wealth, and
watch when you
stuff
say
like that.
bankers. That's anti-Semitic. You're not allowed to say that one. You're not allowed to say bankers.
Banking people, John.
Usurers, right? I don't know. I don't know, man. That is scary to think about. I don't know. All I got to know is I'm glad I know a skill. I know I could work on my house when I need to. The only I gotta get friends with a hunter because I'll shoot a deer and then starve to death trying to figure out how to turn it into food. But I'll wire your house, RJ. I'll help you build stuff, but making food, I don't know. I gotta get friends with some hunters. But when that's what I judge people on how well they'll do when civilization collapses. Like RJ, you're gonna be fine, but like, New York City is gonna be, escape from New York as if it isn't already, but all my friends who like work in offices or lawyers, stuff like that, I'm just like, no, I'm not fixing your car. I'm not going to your house. I got stuff to do over here,
I always joke with people that if civilization collapsed around me, I would probably eat better.
And go hunting instead of eating Fruit Loops.
Yeah, exactly. No more buying junk from the grocery store. I've got to put more effort into my garden and go fishing a whole lot more and hunting a whole lot
You
more.
got a lot of land?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I have a tiny backyard. Yeah. I have a tiny backyard, but I think my neighbors are all liberals, so I could just annex their backyards. What are they going to do about it? They don't believe in the Second Amendment. I do, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
I have enough room for Pooh Bear to go traipsing through the woods in the back.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, comics, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, comics. Oh, yes. I started reading The Shadow, vaguely comic book related.
Oh, yes. Yep. Hope is always welcome.
Yep. What else? What else you want to talk about? What you had comic book stuff you wanted to bring up?
Oh yeah, I was posting some stuff with Epic Magazine. I know you bought a whole bunch of them. Did you get around to reading them yet?
Yeah, I read up to 5, and I ordered 6, and it's not here yet because I have to read them in order.
But they're individual stories, John.
I know, but still, they got numbers, and numbers are in order. We just discussed how civilization has rules. I just read. These are terrible. These are terrible, and it's bad when it gets canceled out of 28.
Those are the Marvel ones. Yeah,
Marvel Tarzans were awful. Yeah. Yeah, I read James Bond for Your Eyes Only #2, and I read #1 30 years ago. So
you were talking about the Remo Williams one. That's the reason I got into Remo Williams and started reading it was because of the Marvel Remo Williams comic that went along with the movie. I think it was Walter Simonson that at the very least did the covers for the Remo Williams Marvel comic books for the little mini series that they did. So
there's a Marvel comic, Remo Williams. I got to check that out.
Well, I don't know if it was only for basically reprinting the movie in comic form or if they had separate stories on it. I can't remember. I remember buying them, and I do have them in my collection somewhere.
I got to check that out. Yeah, the Destroyer novels are they're like thinner than this. Yeah. They're fun to read. The Destroyer. There's a whole bunch of them. As Chuck Dixon would call them, men's sweat. They were just paperbacks made for men by men in the 70s and 80s. You know what I mean? Do you think I think we got a pretty intelligent chat group. Do you guys read novels? I mean, I assume we all read comic books, but do we read novels?
I'm reading.
You were a big reader.
Well, I'm reading Big Sleep right now from Raymond Chandler and The Thin Man, which is Dashiell Hammett, and Father Brown, which is G.K. Chesterton.
I'm also reading uh, uh, Flashman in Charge, the first, by George MacDonald Fraser. It's actually pretty funny. It's pretty good. But I left it in the backpack and I left it in the trunk of my car for like 2 months. So I got to go back and reread the last chapter to remind myself who everybody is. But it's pretty funny. It's a guy in the Crimean War and he's just an absolute coward. But he's in the right place at the right time and like keeps getting promotions and more responsibility. Meanwhile, he just wants to go home. It's pretty funny.
I think that would be a picture of an anti-hero, John. That would be a true anti-hero for me.
Not even he's just I was gonna say a picture like Woody Allen, but I don't like to think about Woody Allen these days. I read novels constantly. Just finished Underworld. Oh, I don't know that one. I know Pete's a big reader. I'll send him my scripts, and he, like 3 hours later, he sends them back to me with critiques. I'm like, geez, did you read it? I said, yeah, I read it. Yeah. So what other comic book news? I'm trying to think. I've been reading a lot of comics lately. The overtime is over, so I'm like trying to read a lot. Oh, I read this. You would like this. This was excellent. Barry Windsor Smith.
Oh, yeah.
This is like an oversized, here's like a regular comic compared to it. This is gorgeous, and it's really good. I already ordered the second issue. Yeah, really, really good.
Barbarian Tales. That's what basically that book is.
Speaking of barbarians, this is basically the X-Men versus Conan. This was excellent. What else? What else am I reading? Geiger. This company, Magma Press, they're from Mexico, so like they translated into English. It's just kind of neat to read stories from Mexico. One of them was Roma Eternal, and it only had like 3 issues, and I don't know what happened. It was so good. I really, really liked it. But are you getting any? You're not getting any new Marvel or DCs, are you?
No, I haven't been. Like, I rarely go to town at all anymore. Maybe once a month or so right now, but I never get into the one little shop that's left. Well, there's 2. There's a comic shop that I will not go to. It just will not, and for reasons obvious. And the other one is a Funko Pop place that sells comics. But I do have a friend of a friend who is very much into comics, and she's very young, so I may have access to newer comics pretty soon if we start talking comics.
Oh, okay, that's good. Because somebody just posted a page for the X-Men today. I'll see if I can find it on Twitter. My Twitter. All right, but it was basically Storm is going to a doctor, and the doctor treats mutants. So, he specializes in mutants, which I think is kind of interesting. Wouldn't there be like a doctors that specialize in mutants and things? So I kind of like that concept. But so Storm is in there, and she's next, and the doctor goes, I recognize you. You're Storm from the X-Men. Get out. And she's like, what do you mean get out? She goes, we don't treat X-Men. And she goes, what are you, a bigot? He goes, no, I treat mutants. I'm a mutant myself. Mutants have free service here, but we don't treat X-Men. You guys are more trouble than you're worth, which made me feel good because now maybe people start to realize the X-Men deserve all the persecution. But I didn't. So I commented on that thread. I said, this page is so boring. It looks like a brochure. It looks like a dentist brochure. Like, come to our treatment center. It was just clip art or 3D assets of bland office in beige, and then obviously Storm and the Doctor drawn in. I was like, this is a Marvel comic. Stan Lee could have. I'm sure Stan Lee could have done something like this, but he would have made it exciting. Like, who do we blame? Well, we blame Marvel, but is it because they pay so little, or do the editors just not know exciting art anymore?
Yeah, I don't think they know very much at all. But that would be a very interesting story. I'd like to, that would be an interesting backstory because, it would be in my mind, mutants would probably die young because their systems are so different that no one could actually deal with them and be a doctor to them. And so you get this guy that comes along who's a mutant doctor. That would be an interesting story. That would be something that would take a good story arc.
Right. That's what I said. I like the concept of it. Okay, I found it. It was easier to find than I thought. But I thought it was an interesting concept. That's the kind of stuff that I think is interesting. Like, okay, you want to do a twist of the X-Men? They would require specialists for doctors. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this guy's got a tentacle growing out of his forehead. I can't treat this. I don't know what. Is this normal? We got to go to it. And even the mutant specialists. Mutants are supposed to be different. Like each mutant is supposed to be unique. You're not going to have 40 Wolverines, otherwise you're not mutants anymore. That's a subspecies. So, I think that would be exciting. So just check out how boring and bland this is. I'm going to make it bigger, as if that helps. Somebody said too much dialogue. I said, you've never read comics in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, so too much dialogue. That don't bother me. But look at how dull that is.
Okay, my number one gripe, I can tell you off the bat, is where I always go is the color. It's
Right.
teal. So they're going into the orange and teal again, which is supposed to be evoking of emotions, and they got way too much of the same color. And you need to go at very maximum 2 panels with the same background color. That's it. Usually should have every panel with its own different background color. If
Right.
you're not going to put in anything in the background, that's fine. You need to have, like, I keep on saying about the Conan comics. If you have a panel, which they usually did with John Buscema, if you'd have one panel on the page that didn't have any action in it, it had a red background in order to keep your mind moving at a good pace to keep up with the rest of the action so it didn't slow down.
Right.
These are things you need to know. These are things you need to do in order to actually get people to read in a good fashion and keep themselves interested in a comic. This is puke.
I said same thing. My first impression is, man, this coloring is awful. Because I've been reading comics now for 47 years, and each panel has to have its own majority color to differentiate it from every other panel.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And the majority of this is that teal? I call it snot green, but teal. So you got one panel that's a different color. Okay, congratulations. But it's mostly empty space, which is wrong. It's mostly the same color, and then it's just is that I don't know, clip art, Photoshop, 3D assets. I don't know what the correct term is, but like that is just lazy, dull, and this is an X-Men comic book. The X-Men comic that I just showed. I mean, now I gotta get it.
Well, John's looking for it. I'll say this. If you're going to have extra negative space that's on a book, on a page, it either has to be there to build tension because there's no words, or there is a substitution of action for any kind of background. And so you don't need anything but to focus on the action that is occurring. This is just breaks both of those rules right off the bat.
Right. This is an X-Men comic. This is exciting and new, to
quote the Love Boat.
Yeah, but I just got to show this one. Oh, I opened up right to it. I mean, this is X-Men that I read, so I'm going to make myself big. Can you see this? That's Colossus riding a freaking dragon as Cyclops is murdering barbarians. Okay? And then Wolverine is holding on to the dragon tail, slicing barbarians. That's a panel. This is a page in an X-Men comic. There's this Storm with the boobies sticking out, Wolverine murdering people.
Again, with the red background with Wolverine, because he's not doing anything in the panel. The red background.
Yep. Look at that. Nightcrawler attacking women. It's got everything you want. And then we got this. Which comic do you want to spend money on? And this is inspired because some lesbian or somebody, a guy who thinks he's a lesbian from Marvel Comics is like, I got discriminated against because, even though my doctor assigned me male at birth, they wouldn't give me a pap smear. So I know what it's like to be discriminated against by the doctors, So I hate everybody.
And most probably the comic in John's hand costs less than the comic that he's showing you on screen right now.
This was an annual. Okay, 75 cents.
Yeah, no, but even now, you can buy stuff now that's old comics, that's good old comics that are much less than you're going to pay for newsstand or well, say
Cover by Frank
comic shop.
Miller, interior art by John Byrne. George Perez, inked by Terry Austin. Guys, when people say like, comics are bad, I'm like, well, yeah, new comics are bad, but there's still plenty of old comics that I haven't read yet. I just read what's I can't think of it now. I put it upstairs, but like old comic strips. Like I got Dick Tracy from 1931 to 1933 to read over here. This still good stuff. I'm tired of looking at that boring panel. Not interesting to leave a few copies of your comics at a local comic shop just to see. Yeah, I keep saying I'm going to do that. I'm off all month of August. I'm taking 4 weeks vacation in August. I'm going to go around to the comic shops and see. I want to do a couple of conventions. I really, what's his name? Vaughn Coleman said I could probably come with him to a convention or two. Marvel's Tarzan is bad. I haven't read them, but it's Marvel, so it's trash. I like old Marvel. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but that comic is bad. It's really bad. The first 5 issues were great. I was excited. I burned through them, and then the next 23 issues were just a slug.
That's a problem. There's, excuse me, a major problem with something like Tarzan, where you're in a jungle and backgrounds have to be intricate if you're going to put any backgrounds in at all, and the combination of blank backgrounds and movement in those Tarzan books wasn't enough in order to set you in the place where it's supposed to be. That's why I think Tarzan works so well as a novel. It's because it can paint you a picture in a background, which is, half a page of words, and then you have it set and it's in your mind, and the entire thing takes place in that background you already have set in your head. That's why Tarzan works so well. That's why I think Conan works so well as a print story, things like that.
Well, I got to say, the first 2 Tarzan, I read the first 2 Tarzan novels. I got the 3rd Tarzan novel right here. I'll read it after the shadow. The first 2 were page turners. I did not expect them to be as good as they were. Holy mackerel. Because I never liked Tarzan. But after talking to Chuck Dixon a few times, and he loves Tarzan, so I said, you know what? I trust Chuck. So I found a good cheap copy, like $4, cheaper than a new comic book. Man, did I really, really like that. I was like nervous. I was nervous. Tarzan, he was an ape. He didn't see people. And then he finally, the first people he sees, he's fighting with, and he strangles a black African, and he's about to eat him. And I'm like, no, Tarzan, you can't eat a human. Like, I was reading this book, like biting my nails. And then at the last minute, it's like some internal thing said you couldn't do it. But he was going to eat a human raw because he's an ape man. He didn't know any better. And then he becomes a little bit civilized. And then the second novel, he's a secret agent working for the French government, recovering jewels. It's a jewel theft. Not that I expected. And later on, he goes and meets dinosaurs. I mean, I got to keep reading them. I really liked it.
That's one of the things that you're asking what I'm reading. That's one of the books I have on literally my desk next to where I'm usually read. It's there. It's a complete works of Tarzan. It's there as in one of the things I'm going to pick up as one of my next books.
I read I think the first 5 John Carter Warlord of Mars books, and I know it's mean to say, but there's a couple of world building things that like just bother me. Like in the first book, everybody's telepathic and you could read each other's minds, except his mind is opaque to it, and then they never really mention it, and then everybody comes from eggs, you know what I mean? So like I don't know, like you have sex with Deja Thoris and she has an egg, it just that I know it's nitpicky, but that kind of stuff just bothered me. I like the fact that he was this mysterious eternal, like at the beginning of the book. Did they ever bring that up again? Like they implied that he was like always around, and like some sort of internal power is what transported him to Mars. So I want to talk about this. Tim says Elon Musk was interviewed a while ago. He told the reporter he was a big fan of the X-Men. He even named his company X after Professor X. I didn't know that, but that is pretty cool. And I've been, every once in a while, I tweet. So everybody in the chat now, go tweet. Elon, buy Marvel Comics and put John's Longbox as editor-in-chief. We got to fix it. We got to fix it. I promise you, me and RJ, I think we did a couple of weeks ago what we would do if we were in charge. The X-Men would right away become a horror comic. I would tell every editor, this is your sales. This is what you have to hit or you're fired. You have to do it. You have to do it. I'd give people long runs. And I personally will write Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, and I'll do my best to make that a fun comic book.
And we would have a bullpen. I would be going down once a week down the East Coast to see John. And
you got to work it. You got to wear a mask because if I see what you look like, you're fired. I don't want to see your face. I'll start smoking cigars. I'll blow smoke at people. I'll act like J. Jonah Jameson. You know, I like those, but I have a hard time getting the recent one. Recent what? Your comment so far behind. So just repost what you talk about. That is really objectively terrible. What a horrible trend. Is that a trend? Are you talking about the X-Men? The X-Men page? That was objectively terrible. Like I know for a fact Marvel pays really bad. And I know for a fact it takes months to get paid. And you have to constantly. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine bugging your boss to get paid? Like, I take it for granted. I get paid every Monday, 6:00. Boom, money hits my bank account. You know, I get a paycheck mailed to me every Saturday, and then I get a paycheck mailed to me, and I get direct deposit. So I get the best of both worlds: a physical check and direct deposit. So I don't have to get off my ass and actually go to a bank. It's awesome. Every 6:00, boom, I'm paid. Can you imagine having to chase down your paycheck? I ask anybody who's ever worked for Longbox Comics. I had guys that told me that I pay them too fast. Like, that's a problem. They're like, dude, I lost track. How many pages? You paid me so fast. You know? So, you know.
I got to say, John, I said this in one of my videos a long time ago. I worked as a freelancer for decades. And yeah, they're trying to chase down your what people owe you is a pain in the neck. So eventually it becomes these people I don't work for them anymore. If they won't pay me on time, I'm sorry, you're not going to get work done.
I worked a lot of overtime, and one day my boss forgot to put in 5 hours. So I was like, oh man, I got screwed out of 5 hours. He goes, okay. He goes, are you working tomorrow? I said, I never work Mondays. Mondays I have game night. He goes, I'll put you in Monday. You know what I mean? So like I lost 5 hours on this check, but he put, you know what I mean? It was like, that's how fast a mistake. It was an honest mistake. You know what I mean? So like, but can you imagine if that was Marvel Comics? Like, you didn't work those hours. Yeah. Like that is sacred. You work, you get paid. That is just sacred, you know. And somebody works for me, they get paid. You know, it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good about paying the guys who work with me. Why are the comments not loading up? Oh, the old Marvel is worse to do in Marvel. Now we're gonna have words. I like the Tarzan where Tarzan was RAF in World War II. I didn't know that. That's something to look forward to. Is that part of the original series? Why aren't my comments loading? Okay. Tarzan shouldn't be comics or movies. Spends the first half of the book as a naked child. You either have to change the story. Well, they didn't mention that he was naked, or did they? I don't know. But yeah, you can't put that in a movie. And the second guy, well, guys, it's about a wild man. What do you want me to say? I mean, not everything is gay. You're a little too, I don't know. There's quite a career leap that could happen, but build up to it. War's Edge books are an updated version of Hammer Schlammers. I have no idea what you're talking about. Do you know what this is, RJ?
I don't know what the books are, but obviously he's talking about, I think, the Hammer series of movies and stuff like that. So with those characters from the Hammer series, which is basically mostly horror, light horror, you know, Dracula and those kinds of things.
Yeah, the mind reading was just for language learning. Yeah, it was just so they didn't have to explain that they spoke another language. You're right about that. Burroughs never explains what John Carter. Yeah, I find that really interesting. Really interesting. I'm probably making a bigger deal out of it than Burroughs ever did. But John Carter was this immortal warrior. Yeah, you were telling me this. Some of the books are 1, 2. So I read 2 and 3. So 1, 2, and 3 are great. Okay, so that means 4 is probably the first bad book. I read 12. There might be more banger. Okay. Get me action pics of Spider-Man or you're fired. No, get me pics of sales going up or you're fired. You know, I want to see that chart up there. I want to see an arrow going through the ceiling or you're fired. You know, I want to get hired by you know, Elon Musk takes it. I go in the office, I sit down, I call in an office, and I want to look at Tom Brevoort right in the face and just turn into Space Lee Sprockets and just go, Brevoort, you're fired. Chessmen of Mars is which one is that? I think I read the first 5 books. Jeremy Adams' current Green Lantern series is good. At least I've been hearing the Green Lantern is pretty good. Out of all of the DC comics, I've been hearing that that Green Lantern, not the Alan Scott one, the Hal Jordan one, has been consistently good. I wanted to read the 2016 Grant Morrison run. See if that's any good. Paying promptly is a virtue. You shall not cheat your neighbor nor rob him. The wages of him who is hired shall not remain with you all night till morning. There you go. Leviticus.
I'll leave it to Zach, Dan.
Yep. Tarzan versus Predator. RJ, how do you feel about these mashup books, like Superman versus Mickey Mouse or Predator versus Alien is a natural? But
yeah, because I was posting a while ago and people were like, "What is this book? Does it exist?" Because it was Predator versus Batman. I was thinking, yeah, it exists. It came out in the 90s. The only one that actually worked for me as a book and I thought really nailed the story and was good enough was RoboCop versus Terminator. And they just seamlessly integrated those 2 stories and made it an alternate universe where RoboCop became the actual origin point and source of what Skynet was and how it evolved. So, yeah, and of course, Walter Simonson art. It's beautiful.
Plus it's Walt Simonson art. Yeah, yeah. I'm not too crazy about like mashup books. Like Fred Flintstone versus I don't know, Wolverine or something. You know what I mean? Like some people just love. Like I liked it when the Marvel and DC did the amalgam. Every once in a while it's kind of fun, but like I don't know. For the most part, I don't like when different universes cross over. Because
I love those amalgam books because there were just so many Easter eggs in those. Trying to figure out what characters in the background were a mashup of what because you didn't even know who they were. It was just the artist throwing 2 things together. It was like, this is beautiful. I could spend all day looking at the panels trying to figure out what the heck's going on.
It's funny. Jules says this in the Venus. Yeah, there's a whole Venus series. I never read them. Napier has to spend time learning the language. Luckily, just like Mars, they only speak one language. That's one of my pet peeves. Is everybody speaks English no matter where you go, no matter what time you go to. And I know,
like John, they speak American. Yeah. They speak American.
But like. In Star Trek, they got the universal translator. To me, out of all of the technology in Star Trek, the universal translator is the most ridiculous. Unless it's like psionic and it goes into people's brains. How different is or the different language? Like we got the Hungarian language that is, if I'm correct, we don't know the root and it follows no known laws. Rules. It's like a singular language that unless you learn it, you can't figure it out. So, and that's just on one continent. Just go to another planet with a different physiology and there's no way you can make a machine that's and I know it's just for ease of storytelling, but I would like to see science fiction that actually follows a little bit of science.
Funny enough, Douglas Adams, who is a comedian, basically writes funny things, came up with the best idea that I could think of, which was the Babelfish, which is the fact that you stick it in your ear and it basically eats brain waves and then turns them into something that's more akin to what's it's next to. That's why you put it in your ear.
All right, so I guess I only read 4 books then, because this doesn't sound familiar. I got the complete series, big old leather-bound books. I'll go back and read the ones. I did like them. A guy without a shirt isn't inherently gay. I was speaking to liberals. Oh, okay, we're obsessing over characters not having shoes. Yeah, I mean, I just today, I don't know. I was in a bad mood today because of the heat, the humidity, and the working conditions. So every time I was on a break, I'd turn on Twitter and then somebody like, how did Deadpool, who's openly gay, do better than Supergirl, who's like closetly bi? And I'm like, first off, Supergirl's not closetly bi. Okay, Supergirl done right is the all-American girl from space. She's good, wholesome girl. If you want to have like
who loves horses a little too much.
but Deadpool is openly gay. It's like I saw those movies. He was pining after that beautiful woman whose name I can't remember. But like, yeah, he flirted with other guys, but that's him being a goofball. Like, openly gay. It's like I've come to the conclusion that gay people are so emotionally immature that they need validation from everybody. They need validation
Oh yeah,
from the
absolutely.
rocks, the trees, the air, cartoon characters, spoons, like they're claiming Abraham Lincoln. It's like, dude, just go on with your life. Go on with your life. Go touch each other's butts and be happy that we're not killing you. But you don't need to claim freaking Popeye the Sailor Man, okay? Just knock it off.
Again, what I was just thinking about this today. I was going down because today was one of those days I got to town, and I saw people advertising things, and they got the big flashing board, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, because they're advertising to the rainbow people, and I'm thinking to myself, that is just, I mean, it must be a political motivated thing, because why in the world would you try to sell to 1 to 5%? We'll say 1 to 5% of the population. Okay, you're trying to sell directly to them, but in order to sell to them, you could tick off almost 50% of the population. I mean,
I'll tell you why. Because Marvel went out of the way to hire 1% of the population, and then once they got a modicum of power, they catered to themselves because they're arrogant, narcissistic, and seek validation. And then all of them that weren't, the 99% that worked at Marvel, were either too scared or wow, look how tolerant we are, and now they're all out of work. Congratulations, you're so tolerant that you're out of work. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
group dynamics. There comes a point where, like, I'd go to meetings at work and they're talking about these Democrats, and I'm like, I'm not voting for these people. And then, like, everybody would look at me. What did you say? I said, I'm not voting for this. This guy's a freaking communist. What the hell? And next thing you know, everybody's like, yeah, like, you need one person to break the dam. You know what I mean? And then everybody else. But, like, nobody wants to be the first person to speak out against this nonsense.
this is what we're just talking about. So we're talking about getting paid as a freelancer. I did well as a freelancer because the people who didn't pay me well or didn't pay me on time, they just got pushed to the wayside, and I got a client base that was full of people who actually paid me on time and paid me well. But these people who work for Marvel, this is why, I think in part Comicsgate failed, in the fact that they thought that, okay, we're going to pay people, we're going to pay them on time, we're going to pay them a living wage to do pages. Why don't you come over and work for us instead of working for Marvel, where you don't get paid and you're living off of ramen and maybe some sardines? But no, they won't leave. They won't leave that attention box because I work for Marvel. That's it, right? That's their currency. It's not I get to eat every day. It's I work for Marvel. I can say that, and I get attention on Twitter.
And Marvel is a foot of, how many people came and tried to use it as a way into Netflix or Hollywood or whatever. Back when Iron Man first came out, what year did Iron Man come out? 2012. The comics, there was problems, but there was always problems, but they weren't that bad yet. And then once the MCU came in, Marvel Comics, DC Comics became cool, and everybody wanted to work for Marvel Comics because it was the new hot thing. And like it or not, like, I've come to the conclusion. I told this story many times. I remember sitting in a bar and we're listening to the Eagles on the jukebox, and I'm like, oh man, every time we go to a bar, it's like the same 7 songs on the jukebox. How many times we got to listen? I said I would love to go into a bar, plunk money in there, and I'm listening to the Misfits or the Bad Brains, bands that I like. My friend Jimmy goes, no, you don't. He goes, the worst thing in the world is for your stuff to get popular. I said, no, I just want to enjoy a beer and listen to music that I like. He goes, nah, you got those records at home. And I remember arguing with him, and now 20, 30 years later, I'm like, Jimmy, you're absolutely right. Everything that I liked became popular, and it's ruined. It's ruined. That's like a Chinese proverb. The things you like become popular. It's like them's fighting words, RJ. What did you just take that back? Yeah. Mars 1 go to Mars, then ending on Earth 2. Carter returning. Black Martians, Therns. Yeah. The Black Martians from the moon were coming to steal the Martian women. Now, what did you mean by that, Edgar Rice Burroughs? Yeah, Mars is Sun and Thuva. Okay. Yeah, I read 4. I remember Carson of Mars, right? Is that his name? And I think, Thuvia was just born. Meet the headless people with different species as their head. Oh, I gotta read that. That sounds cool. Earth 6 is Earthlings comes to Mars. Paxton has eventually finds a girl with the head replaced into another body. Cool. I know a couple of girls I wish I could switch their bodies and their heads. You got a great body. You got a great head.
It's called the Butterface, John.
Yeah.
Don't you remember?
Yeah, the Butterface. Yep. Yep. Yeah. I remember this mean I dated a girl. She just had the most beautiful face. She looked like the one that died on Twin Peaks. You know, why can't I think of her name? You know, the blonde who died. The whole point of the show, but her face looked just like that, and I was just like, but that body, it didn't look like that. If only we could switch that in. I'm a mean person. Yes, I'm shallow. Hello, I'm John, and I'm shallow. Shallow.
We have a different kind of sense of humor, John. I think our generation has a completely different sense of humor that will never be appreciated again.
Yes, there's another. Like I said, the internet got me bad today. There's a guy. Whatever you think of him, it's not the point. But he goes by Renowned Zero, and he gambled and he won a bunch of money, and he took a trip to Japan. You know, he got found money and he did something he always wanted to do. Good for him. Good for him. All the Comicsgate guys are making fun of him because he went to Japan and he went to like an anime palace. He went to a Pokemon place, and you know he didn't do what they thought you should do if you go to Japan. Which I don't know. What do you think? What do you do if I went to Japan? I'd probably check out like the shrines and stuff like that, and whatever, eat the food, but whatever. He did nerdy stuff. Keep in mind, we're a comic book. We're adults who like comic books. This is a guy who likes anime and Pokemon. That's what he did with his money. So they were making fun of him. So I just posted, stupid Renowned Zero. How dare you have a trip to Japan wrong? You know, and guys attacking me. I'm like, you don't get sarcasm? You don't get that I'm friendly with Renowned Zero? Like, he understands that I'm joking, you know? And he goes, forget it. That guy just willfully misunderstands what you're saying on purpose, you know? But I don't know. The internet's annoying. What do they say? The internet is just people pretending not to understand your point and arguing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I get like 200 comments per video, which, you know, is not the most, but it's enough that I can read them all. And there are just some people that they're so a nerd. I was like, you got to be deliberately misunderstanding what I'm trying to say because I made it perfectly clear.
Yeah, that drives me nuts. Like, you're so disingenuous. You know what I'm saying. It's like, are you going to tell me you don't understand sarcasm? You don't understand, like, guys who are friendly bust on each other? Like, just means to me that A, you're misinterpreting because you want to, or B, you have no friends. Because, you know, just today, I was joking. Hey, Paul, I wrote you into one of my stories. And he goes, cool. What am I going to save the girl? I said, no. You get boinked in the ass by the villain. And he goes, oh man, yeah, like he knows. but you know that's story. And he goes, oh no, not again. You do that in every one of these stories, and you take it out. I'm starting to think you have a problem. You know, he turned it back off. It was funny. Adam Driver being cast as Magneto. Any thoughts? I don't care. I don't care about any of the Marvel movies. Don't care. I like Adam Driver. He was the only good thing about those terrible Star Wars movies. There's something I like about him. But so he's Magneto. Magneto was artificially de-aged so he could play. But as long as he's got the gray hair, he'll bring the intensity. He'll do a good job no matter what. But I don't know.
Defenders drawn by Gil Kane, I think it was, John, where Magneto was de-aged, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was in the Defenders. It was in the Defenders of all comics. I mean, like, all I got to say is the whole movie's based on Iron Man is Doctor Doom. So I don't care. I don't care. You know, it's not based on comics, so who cares? You know, you might as well say Snoopy is Doctor Doom. And he doesn't care about Reed Richards. He cares about Captain America or something like that. And Captain America doesn't wear a costume because they gave it to Falcon. I don't care. This is going to be a mess. Oh, they weren't from the moon. They were from the South Pole. Okay. Last week, the comic shop, the cashier asked me all embarrassed if it was okay to open the plastic bag to look at the back of the comic for price. Told her okay and asked why. She said because collectors are offended if they are no longer pristine. I told her those comics are mostly worthless. You don't get them to resale, but to read them. She was kind of baffled. Yeah, I got a guy at work. He's just so annoying. I can't stand him. But he's friends with my other two brothers, so I got to be friendly with him. And he's just a jerk. But what I don't like about him is he has to one-up you. Whatever you do, this guy has to one-up you. You know what I mean? And I don't like talking to him, so I don't want to talk to him. But then he talks to me and I say something, and then he one-ups me. I'm like, dude, I'm only talking to you as a human courtesy. I don't like you. I don't want to talk to you. I wish you weren't around. And now it's a competition. But he knows I like comic books, so he always comes up to me and he just like takes out his phone and he shows me a comic book. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. And it's like some 7.8 that he got of like a random X-Men, a Jim Lee X-Men. And I just try not to engage him. And then finally I couldn't take it anymore. And after like the third time, I'm just like, CGC's a scam. He goes, what? I said, it's a scam. I said, all the prices are going down. How much did you pay? $25? You'll be lucky if you get $20 for that. I said, congratulations, you wasted your money. And he's like, you know, and it finally worked. He doesn't talk to me anymore. But yes, but get to your point. If you're buying comics to make money, just invest in the stock market. That's my advice to you. Invest in the stock market. Buy comic books because you like them. Buy comic books because you enjoy them. Read them. I have a cousin out of nowhere. He's into comic books, and he calls me up. Hey, look at this! And he sends me a picture. It's Marvel Team Up Annual #3 with the Thing and Nova. I'm like, oh man, I love this comic. I remember this came out. I was in 6th grade, and I'm talking about a great time it was. And he goes, I go, what'd you think of it? He goes, I didn't read it. It's just a key issue. I'm like, why is it a key issue? He's like, oh, you. I said, so you're just a speculator. I said, you don't like comic books. I said, just go play the stock market. Do me a favor. Stop making my comic book stop making my hobby expensive for me. Because that's all you're doing. You want to make money? Go buy gold. Go invest in dollars and francs and the stock market and stuff. Stay out of my hobby. But there you go. So I'm with you, Vaz. Just buy the comics, read the comics, enjoy the comics. My theory is that there are those rebellious and those who are legalistic need one another. So first they have a safe way to express rebelliousness. Second one, to keep from purity spiral. I don't exactly know what you mean. If you could elaborate to a dummy. RJ, due to its nature of being classified as toxic masculinity, do you think that any Robert E. Howard material can be faithfully adapted in the modern age?
No, they'd have to leave stuff out. They would definitely have to leave stuff out. I mean, if you're saying faithfully adapted, if it could do it scene for scene, word for word, and just say make a television show out of it so that it covers the entire thing, and it just be a mini series that they did, for 2 years to do all the stories. Absolutely not. They just couldn't. There's too much in there that, again, is 1920s, 1930s. This is how evolution works, and we all evolved from monkeys and might go back into monkeys, and he points towards Africa. I mean, this is what he does, right? I'm beside the fact that the women are, scantily clad to say the least, of most of it, and so is Conan. So it's 6 1, half dozen another. It's not just him, or it's not just them. But besides that fact, that one of the again great things I love about Robert E. Howard is the fact that he doesn't pull any punches when he's describing things, and that's why I think that the Red Citadel is the best horror story ever written, because it's horrific. He describes it in detail and he makes you feel uncomfortable, and that's one of the things that people just can't, like, I think what we're talking about, people won't take our humor anymore, because John and I are old, long in the tooth men, and you say something to a younger generation, they'll blush, because you can't make people uncomfortable anymore. You just can't. It's like forbidden for some reason. It's stupid, but that's what Robert E. Howard did in order to invest the reader in his works and make stories really grounded in something primal, which is what Conan is about to a large extent. So you can't do that anymore.
I only read the one Conan story, and I didn't see anything in it that would need to be changed for modern sensibilities, but that ain't going to stop them from trying. They always got to change stuff. Did you guys like the John Carter movie? I did. I did like the John Carter movie. I got mad because they mushed like 2 novels together. Um, they they also kind of changed how he got to Mars and everything, but like it looked great. I love that woman who played Deja Thoris. I thought she was just sexy and like, but like I know they can't have a naked woman running around, you know. That I understand that, but man, I thought that woman was just there was something exotically beautiful about her. I really liked her. I thought the casting was great. It looked great. Unfortunately, Disney itself killed it. You know, it could have been a fun. It could have been a fun franchise. I don't understand. I really don't understand why Disney didn't advertise it.
I agree with John. The fact that they tried to smush too much story into one movie killed it because it was too complicated for people to follow. They should have made it much more simplistic. It would have done great.
Yeah, yeah, it has too much nudity. There's two ways you could go about it. You could just cover them up, you know, like the Conan movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I still love that movie, even though I know it's not accurate. That was my first exposure to Conan. You could go like that, have a booby scene every once in a while or whatever, or you could just do the John Carter thing and just ignore the nudity, or you could go full on Netflix graphic nudity Game of Thrones. That just to me is just watch porn. And you know what they'll do these days? They'll just make it like graphic nudity, like Spartacus. You want to watch Spartacus? It's like just rent a porno movie, you know. That's a good thing. There should be nudity. I will say that 90% of nudity is gratuitous. You know, like I turned on my TV and I was like, I wonder what's on. And it was there was a TV show based on Dune, of all things, Dune. And I turned it on and there's a cunnilingus scene. I'm like, when did Frank Herbert write this in Dune? I'm like, I'm done. This is just so stupid.
I think honestly, what we were talking about earlier about Tarzan applies to Conan so much because there are some things that work in print that don't work in any other way, and that's the part of the stories, you know, that Robert E. Howard tells and others like him that do pulp, is that they set a scene and they give you something that you can put in words, but you can't put. Well, back then you couldn't put into pictures, either, you know, on a page as a comic or on the screen if they're going to make a movie, anything like that. But they're able to paint pictures that could not be described in any other way. And I think the human mind paints a better picture, excuse me, in itself than a director would.
Yeah, I think there's like Lovecraft. I think is impossible to film because how you know Lovecraft basically says we're not going to describe it. You know, it's something somebody else. So what are you just going to see people's reactions and not see the monsters, stuff like that? It wouldn't work. What is this comment? Most fantasy show on TV streaming now aimed at women, so the naked men. Yeah, nothing matters. It's you know like I don't know. Like women's sports now, they're making rules that you can't like show all these women. But let's be realistic. Why is any man watching women's sports? And the women do have choices of what to wear. That's what they choose to wear. So just kill the interest. But you know, then you watch a Game of Thrones and you're like, oh geez, you know, this is pretty explicit. You know, and most of it was unnecessary. It didn't help the show, and then the show didn't help the show. For example, when listening to punk rock is considered rebellious, that is fairly tame. But when everything has to be accepted, people push the envelope. It's kind of human nature to push the envelope. And I think RJ, you said it. Like the left doesn't like to be told no. It doesn't matter. Everything there. You opened my eyes to this. If when they say what is communism. And there's like, oh, you right wingers, you define everything as communism, Marxism. It's just like, well, if you deny objective truth, that's communism. You know, if you just wash everything else away, and if you get rid of objective truth, then there's no limits, and if there's no limits, then you know, so like the left, like, oh, this local school didn't want this book in there, so now the book is banned because somebody out of 250 million people, one person objected to the book. So now there's a banned book list because somebody thought, you know, a cunnilingus scene in a novel is not appropriate for kindergartners. Oh, you see how the left wants censorship? It's like, No, these people want. They're like children. They want what they want when they want it, and they don't want to be told no. And if you're told no, they and we gotta just ignore these people. Don't even engage them. Just look at them like you're crazy, and just keep going. I'm really ready for Trump to become the dictator that the left thinks he is. Yeah, I got to say, Samuel Jackson fell off the cliff as far as likability to me. I sorry, Sam. I used to like you, but you're just another Hollywood freak. And he just gave an interview 2 days ago about how he was a crackhead watching his baby. And I'm like, I'm done. You know, I was a crackhead watching my baby are two sentences that should not be spoken in the same, paragraph. So, you lucky to be alive. I hope your daughter's okay, but I don't want to watch your movies anymore. I'm hoping Getty Tartar can pull off that. Yep, me too. I'm rooting for all of these adaptations and movies to be good. What good is a bad Marvel movie? What good is a bad any movie? But I have lowered expectations. I'm not Charlie Brown. Lucy Van Pelt is not going to trick me with the football ever again. I'm just not going to go up and try to kick the ball.
Answer your first question, Tony. I hopefully this animated Robert E. Howard adaptation is going to be something worthwhile. But, again, I'm like John. I'm not putting a lot of hope into it. Your second question, you're not really – I understand how the parliamentary system works in the UK, but the fact that you got only 80% of your own party voting for you to become the leader of the entire country that didn't vote for you, you're not a leader. I'm sorry. You're not. He's not going to do anything except be a placeholder.
Yeah. Isn't he like some ex-WEF guy, World Economic Forum guy? Or I don't know. England, I definitely think like between all like the rugged individuals coming to America, then World War I and World War II killing all the manly men, I think like England is just like a bunch of like beta guys. Come on, God. I mean, here in the States, we're not too far away either. So, I don't know. We got to do something. Communism is an ideology that humanity has been fighting for thousands of years. Absolutely. Ever since the serpent in the garden, bitter, spiteful Cain. Yep. I agree. Communism, what is it? The seductive sweet candy, that's all communism is. It's sweet nothings. It's just sweet.
What's the quote from, I think it's Thomas Stowell? How much of someone else's labor are you entitled to?
Right. Yeah.
That's the question. Is just old as time.
Yeah. Like, they should be free healthcare. Then I'm like, so what if there's not enough doctors? What if people don't want to become doctors? Because like, do we recruit people? Do we force people to treat them? Like the doctors have to work 20 hours a day. That'll never happen. Well, you're making it so that you are entitled to somebody else's labor. No, but it's free healthcare. It sounds nice. But you're not entitled. You're not entitled. How much? You should have free housing. All right, go out and build houses for these people. People, they misunderstand capitalism is the free exchange of goods and services. Free exchange. Once there's government involved, it's no longer capitalism. We don't have capitalism in the United States for the most part. We have crony capitalism, we have mercantilism, but we don't have capitalism. Once the state's involved, it's not free. Like HOV lane. I got to buy a product to drive on a highway that I'm taxed for. Oh man, does that burn my butt? I'm sitting there watching this freaking thing empty because I'm not traveling with enough people, or I didn't buy a clean pass car. So I need to buy a product. I got to go give money to a private company to use the public services. That's not capitalism. We're not a capitalist country. What are your thoughts on the speculation that Marvel's going to cease publication of floppy? Yeah, but it's going to happen. Elon, come on. Throw me a freaking bone. We'll run that company. What do we got to lose? Yep. It definitely is. This Chuck Schumer just said we live in a country that produced the first trillionaire. Oh no, it was Gavin Newsom. Excuse me. We live in a country that produced the first trillionaire, and yet people can't afford basic services. And I'm like, you're the governor of California. Reduce the taxes. Reduce the taxes. You know, what are you doing to ease the suffering of the people? How is Elon Musk being a trillionaire making any Californian's life difficult? On the contrary, Elon Musk probably made everybody's life a little bit better, you know, by how many people he's hiring and everything like that. Knock it off. People, you know, and what gets me is I think Gavin Newsom is smart enough to understand that he's lying. Like, does he really believe that? Because Elon Omar and AOC, I think they're dumb enough to believe their lies. Whereas somebody like Gavin Newsom, he knows he's lying, which makes it worse. Deserve is, I hate the word deserve. Nobody, you know what you deserve? Everybody, you deserve to be left alone. That's it. That's it. That's the only thing you deserve as a human being. You deserve to be left alone.
I agree 100%, Zach Dan. You would probably have the same thinking as I do. All good things we have are a gift to us, so we need to make them gifts to other people. You deserve nothing.
Yeah, you deserve nothing. You deserve nothing, and you'll like it. And he could have been a trillionaire in California, but taxes incentivized him to move. Yeah, yeah. And did you see Bandani, the governor, the mayor of New York, is freezing the rents, and now rents spiked because everybody raised their rents before this rules went into effect. So boom, you know, oh, we're gonna freeze rents. Everybody just raised the rents right now before they could, and tax income went down $11 billion because all the rich people are leaving. So, but I think Bandani knows what he's doing. He's purposely trying to destroy New York. He's a foreign agent, a provocateur. Is that the word? John, what are your thoughts on James Gunn killing off Hal Jordan? Good. I didn't know that, but if that's what happens, good. Who cares? I wasn't going to watch the show anyway. The show it was a non-starter from the trailer. It looked boring and dull. James Gunn, you tricked me. I thought you liked comic books. Apparently you don't. I don't care. Good. You know what? Turn him gay and a lesbian too. Do it all. Do it all. Just kill it. Just kill it. Make it so that nobody wants to make it so that my hobby's not popular anymore. And then maybe only fans will get back in it and things will get good. Make the Green Lantern a pink jellyfish, gay, lesbian, communist. Do it all. No half measures anymore. Race swap them. Do whatever. Do it all. Just destroy any interest in my hobby of comic books so that only fans will be left. Yeah, they're all. That's. I think Gavin Newsom is like there's a worm inside of him, and the rest of him is just like a mech suit. You know, that's why he moves weird all the time. Like he's like an alien or possessed by a demon or something. Yeah, it's funny, like raising prices right before sale. Yeah. If you were a landlord and you were being told you could never raise rents again, you're going to raise rents, you know, right before it happens. Everyone deserves the fires of hell, but luckily Jesus sacrificed himself to maintain mercy. We got a fire and brimstone preacher over here. Do you guys like the other Robert E. Howard characters like Solomon Kane? I like the comics. I never read any Solomon Kane, but I do like the idea of a freaking pilgrim going around killing witches. And I'm starting.
Solomon Kane is a different kind of story. I really like Solomon Kane's stories. There's a lot of Robert E. Howard characters that I really am not attracted to at all, so I didn't really read much of them, like his boxing stories and stuff like that. But yeah, Solomon Kane is a lot different from Conan, even though in my mind they're connected together. But the things like the cursed hand and stuff like that, it's a different kind of manliness, and he's dealing with supernatural, whereas Conan tries to stay away from the supernatural as much as possible. So yeah, good stories.
Is there, am I thinking, does he have like a sailor character too that's his most popular character from what I heard? Am I getting mistaken?
I don't know off the top of my head, John, really, honestly.
Yeah, because I heard that he had a sailor character that during his lifetime that was his bread and butter, and everything else he did, because he liked doing it. I know if Tony's still in the chat, he'll correct me. Solomon Kane. Jewel, I having only read one Conan story, and sorry, RJ, I didn't particularly like it. The first one in chronological order, which is the last Conan story in his lifetime story or whatever. He's King Conan. But Solomon Kane sounds like something I want to get interested in. So I think I want to read. I think I want to read that. Okay, I knew you had the answer. You're thinking of Steve Costigan. He was his greatest seller when he was alive. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that I want to check out. I'm kind of curious about that. Reject modernity, embrace the pulps.
Yes, indeed.
Tony, this is your fault. And so far, I thank you for it. So far, it's fun. I've only read 4 chapters. And for those of you who are interested, Tony's writing a story for me that I hope my comic company is around long enough to publish them. It's called the Caper. He had a character called El Borak. He's not a sailor though. El Borak. All I can think of is that Borat character. And I'll tell you, I hate Borat because for 2 freaking years, everybody on construction sites talked like Borat when that movie came out, and I wanted to kill everybody. But he was a human being. God-fearing human being, and I couldn't kill anybody. Much to my dismay, murderers found.
Like, oops, this wire is connected to the beam that you're working on.
Any stories with Dark Agnes? Who's Dark Agnes? That's kind of a cool name.
It's a Robert E. Howard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that what she is? A 16th century swordswoman, Dark Agnes? That sounds pretty cool.
If I remember correctly, she was one of the characters within the Red Sonja sort of timeline and stuff like that.
Yeah, I see. I didn't know. Man, this guy must have wrote all the time, and he didn't live long, right? He killed himself when his mother died, right?
Yep.
Yeah. How old was he when he died?
Oh gosh, I think he was in his early 30s, but I could be wrong about that.
So when did he start writing?
Well, he was.
What was he?
He wrote a lot in a span of like 10 years, basically, if I remember correctly.
Wow. I mean, was he like a physical tough guy in real life? Like, or was
he did? He was a boxer, and the thing was, again, he didn't because all he had was his mother at the end or a lot of the second part of his life. He was way too attached to her, so he was a guy trying to figure out what masculinity was because he didn't really have the best role models in the world, if at any. So that's why he delves into this, Conan the Barbarian, Solomon Kane, boxers and sailors kind of things. Like, what is a man?
Yeah, pretty tragic. I wonder, is there a movie about him? A good biography? I'm kind of interested in him.
I think there's one out there, but I couldn't tell you the name of it.
A hot-tempered 16th century who escapes an abusive marriage to become a fierce mercenary. Sounds woke! Solomon Kane, quote, Kane stood an unconscious statue of triumph. The ancient empires fell. The dark-skinned peoples faded. Even the demons of antiquity gasped their last. That sounds pretty cool. Actually, Howard committed suicide when he found she wasn't going to make it. She died soon after he did. Oh, okay. Two-fisted Howard. But overstand all the Aryan barbarians and white cults. I'm murdering this. I can no longer read. Oh, this keeps going. I can't read. Whether they be called Dorians, Saxon, or Englishmen, whether his name is Jason Hengst or Solomon Kane. Yeah, I got to read more. I'm reading the Atlantean, the comic by Arrow Press,
which is called
old stories. You get them too, right? Yeah, they're good. They're fun.
The one thing about Cull, I think Cull was he abandoned Cull because he had more success with Conan. But I think that for me, anyways, the continuity of villains within Cull are much better than Conan with the snake people and what's his name? Oh, for the life of me, I can't remember his name. The Skullhead. That basically they patterned Skeletor afterwards and stuff like that. I think that he has much better villains.
Yeah, I want to check out. Every time I talk to you, make me want to read more of Howard. I mean, I'm loving the comics, but I bought I think there was 160 or so of the Savage Sword of Conan's. I must have bought like 80 of them from an apprentice. He just had a whole collection, and I bought like his collection of Savage Sword of Conan and a bunch of comics off of him. I'm currently reading short stories by Philip Jose Farmer, and I'm 3 issues into Walt Simonson's Thor. Oh man, let us know how you like Thor. That's one of RJ's and I probably our favorite comic run of all
Yep.
time.
Oh, Rex, I envy you the first time reading that.
Yeah, that's so good. The wide world is Robert E. Howard by. Is it any good? Is it any good? Vincent D'Onofrio. He's the guy that gets on my nerves. Then again, all actors get on my nerves. I am cheering the absolute destruction of Hollywood. I'm loving that. Like I remember when the Blair Witch Project came out. I didn't particularly like the movie, but I loved that some jerks with like a $13,000 movie budget made like a Hollywood blockbuster and scared the crap. The only bad thing is now they did a whole bunch of those copycat movies that were no good. But like, you know, I want to see like Hollywood get dismantled. You know, I want to see like movies being discovered in warehouses that they didn't find until they you know, new people moved in. And I don't know. I want to see like Alex Baldwin like having to like shill acne cream or something like that, you know, because he's broke. I just want to see these people get a taste of reality.
I agree with John, but I would say that if America has a heart of darkness, it would be Hollywood.
Second best. Oh, I'm not going to read a million quotes. Yeah, I can barely read 4-letter words. But yeah, everybody else could read these quotes. Nothing's stopping you. It's a free country. It's a free country. Hey, what else do you want to talk about? Do you actually get back into comics? I'm trying to think.
Well, again, I have to remind you, John, if you want, you should. I should check out. Now, I need to check out, but maybe you would do it before me. But the Thanagar stuff is novels as well. It's pulpy kinds of novels, so they're in the vein of like a Robert E. Howard story, obviously.
Who is this?
Thanagar.
Thanagar? Who's that?
Remember, Marvel did a comic about it back in the early '70s. But those are novels too.
Oh, I might as well show these off. I really liked Starship Troopers, so I got this. Is this any good?
I heard a lot about that book. I never actually read it though.
I got another Doc Savage novel. I'm pissed off because I thought this was the third one, but it's the 27th. So, and then people were telling me that D&D Magic System is based on Jack Vance, the Dying Earth. So I wanted to read this. Yeah, I bought this book because somebody told me this is the closest to a banned book ever. It's supposedly it's like I don't know, weird philosophy. I have no idea, but I got it because somebody said it was banned. And
I think it's mostly banned because I think that's the way the future is going to go, John.
Really?
We're going to head into Starship Trooper at some point.
But I got this book because I'm really interested in Jamaican ska. You know, this is about a convent in Kingston, Jamaica, from like the 40s to the 60s. I think it might still be around. And there was all these troubled kids, like kids were just, the parents were drug addicts or whatever, criminals, and they would just grab the kids and throw them in this convent and raised by nuns. And this little old nun over here, she just taught them all instruments, and they became like world famous musicians. Now just imagine that. Like people talk about the convents and the nuns and stuff like that. This little old nun over here gave the world so much. Whether you don't know it, but every one of you knows songs by these people. Like this is one of the most influential people in musical history that you don't know any about. And then she was a Roman Catholic nun, raising boys who had either no parents or drug addict parents or criminal parents or dead parents. You know what I mean? So, you know, shut up about all you know, the Catholic Church started hospitals, you know, knock it all off. People who talk bad about religion are people just showing their ignorance. Yes, there's problems because it's human, you know. Put two humans in a room, there's problems. You know. But oh wow, a lot of comments came up while I was looking through books. So that's my stack of books that I gotta read. So far, Walt's Thor is good, but my only critique is Sif getting fooled easily by Loki over some romance. I don't remember exactly what you're talking about, but keep in mind that's Loki. That's his trickery is his thing. RJ, would you agree that Howard had an Oedipus complex?
Yeah, I'd say he certainly had mental problems, but he was trying to work through them and he failed. So, what kind? I wouldn't say.
I got the audiobook for Starship Troopers. I only get audiobooks for books that I read. I don't want my first experience to be hearing a book. I want to read it first. I thought you were talking about Hawkgirl's planet when she was an alien. Yeah, yeah. What was it? Thanagar? Thanagar? Starship Troopers, both libtard, cringe, and based. If Con Nasty asked, I'd happily do an audiobook for The Shadow or Doc Savage or both. Yeah, this guy's got a good voice. Somebody hire him to do some voice work.
That's
Hey,
one of the
Ryan.
things that's one of the things I think that the Shadow, it's great pulp, but that is something that works much better in my mind as a visual. Now that we can do something like that, the idea of blending into the shadows and all that kind of stuff, I think that works spectacularly when I've seen it on screen,
Yeah,
either as a cartoon or as a live action.
I didn't like the Shadow movie when it came out. I thought back then I liked Alec Baldwin. I thought physically he looked great. But the woman cast as Margot Lane, she looks like a good sweetheart. Margot Lane is supposed to be, I hate to say it, but like more of like a sexual.
Ba 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 boom.
Yeah, boom. Like she's supposed to be like a bad girl. You know what I mean? Like Penelope Ann Miller, who played, she's just like, you just want to pinch her on the cheek and protect her. You don't want to do that. You want to pinch other things on Margot Lane, But so she was miscast, and then like the opening scene when he's fighting the dagger with the face, I was just like, what is going on? I know there's mystical stuff in the Shadow, but I gotta watch it again. I saw it once in the movies and I didn't like it, but I want to see a real pulpy, dark Shadow movie, and they could do it. They could do it. I think it's ripe for it because it could be low budget.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like you could use practical effects and low budget movie for the Shadow and have it still work out really well.
Right. You don't need that. And while this Brian Christou is in the chat, check out Six Gun Gorilla. I absolutely loved Six Gun Gorilla. It's funny because we both have a similar story. He got my comic, I got his comic, and we both put off reading it because I'm like, oh man, I like this guy. What if his comic sucks? So I put it off, and I said, all right, I'm going to crack it open. Let me start. And I stayed up all night reading it. 6 issues, Six Gun Gorilla. It was awesome. I have a story coming out. I asked him if I could give him like a little homage to one of his characters. Six Gun Gorilla. Can't wait. So good. Check it out. Brian Christou. Hey, Chris McWilliams. How you doing? Cheers. How you doing? How's everything? I'm sorry. We keep making plans to do stuff, and life gets in the way. How you doing, Chris? And everybody saying hello. I don't know. I would like to see. I don't know. Like, do you think a Doc Savage movie would that be well received? I find Doc Savage is a little hokey.
Yeah, I think Doc Savage, like, it's really good pulp if you're into pulp, but I don't think it's a character that would resonate with anybody anymore.
My problem with Doc Savage is, I'm on my 3rd novel, and it's everybody making suggestions. And Doc Savage goes, "No, you're wrong. This is the way we do it." And it's like, so he surrounds himself with people just so he could correct them and be right. Just once I would have been like, if one of the guys was like, "Doc, what are you, nuts? Flip this switch right here." "Oh, thank you." And then like one of the novels, he's got like a trained chimpanzee. Like would it just get hokier as it goes along? Alex Baldwin sucked as the Shadow. I didn't like it. I remember not liking it, but now people telling me it was good. My wife and I just rewatched all of those 90s pulp movies, but I purposely didn't watch The Shadow. But we watched the first Zorro, which was excellent.
I'll have to let me put this in, Tony. Let me say this: he didn't actually play the Shadow. He played Lamont Cranston, and Lamont Cranston is supposed to be a weasel. So think of it that way. Did it work for you that way?
I thought physically he looked perfect, but I just remember not like. I got to watch it again. We watched The Phantom, which is good, not as good as Zorro. I love The Rocketeer. I know The Rocketeer is not a 40 thing, but he fits in that world really well. But I would love to see like a real, like a Shadow movie made like a 70s, grindhouse movie. Oh my God, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Race swapping is bad, but The Rock would have made a really good Doc Savage. Yeah, okay. Well, you paint him bronze. Like, I don't care if the actor is supposed to be Hispanic and he's not Hispanic, as long as you can pull it off and it looks good. You know what I mean? That doesn't bother me. Like, I'm not this purist that, like, oh, they have to be Greeks to be in the Odyssey. Like, if as long as they kind of look Mediterranean and they pull it off and treat it in the good actors, I think that's just a bad hill to die on. That you have to be the race of the character. Your actors. Luke's not from Tatooine, your actors. But yeah, I think The Rock would have been a perfect Dr. Savage. The thing is, he's just a terrible actor. Sorry, he's charismatic, but he just says lines. He's like Jack Black, I don't think Walter P. Gibson's black and white morality would play very well in modern day Hollywood. Yeah, but it wouldn't work in Hollywood, but it would work in the Farm Belt. The regular people would like it. Hollywood's got to remember that they got to make movies for regular people. There's more of us. Yeah, there is a Doc Savage, Man of Bronze, 1975 film. I want to check it out. Will Murray actually made a couple crossover books with the Shadow of Doc Savage.
I did not know that, Rex.
What we really need is a proper Doc Savage. Yeah, I mean, could that be the next expanded universe? I'm tired of expanded universes. Just make a good movie. We really need a proper Doc Savage. Yeah, Doc Savage's movie made in the 70s was a comedy blatant ripoff of Buckaroo Banzai. I'm the only person who liked Buckaroo Banzai. I wanted to see like 20 more Buckaroo Banzai movies. They're ridiculous. Peter Weller was perfect. I just get a kick out of Jeff Goldblum walk around, obviously Jewish, dressed as a cowboy. Just made me laugh. It was funny. I thought it was good. Back when Ellen Barkin was sexy. A bit of counterintuitive advice I hear is to strive to be the dumbest person in the room, meaning that you want to surround yourself with smart people. It's not yeah. Hang out. Human beings are social animals. We do kind of become who we hang out with. Doesn't the Bible say avoid the near occasions of sin? Like when you hang out with troublemakers in college or high school, like I did. High school, I hung out with troublemakers. I was getting in trouble. You hang out with, and then in college, I started hanging out with guys that like to read, talk philosophy and stuff like that. And I was the dumbest person in the room. Still am, proud to say. The George Pell Doc Savage is so frustrating because it starts off perfect and then it turns into a cruddy TV movie. I thought Buckaroo Banzai was in the 80s. Yeah, it was in the 80s. Now, the first 4 movies just set up. The 5th is when they plan to get good. What are you talking about? The first 4 movies was just set up. I don't know. We've been talking for an hour and 45 minutes. Are you guys tired of me yet?
We can, if I had 100 more years, I would read every book that everybody recommends me on this channel. But
if I had 100 more years,
I wish I had the time.
I finally read the 20 long boxes of comics that I mean, just look at this. This is my stack of comics then. And then I got that stack of novels that I just showed you. Yeah. I don't know. I don't watch TV anymore. Like people just like, oh, do you watch the show? No, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like I think I'm at the point where I don't get pop culture anymore because I don't partake in it. I also, this is gonna sound really, really mean, and I don't mean it to be mean, but like on YouTube, like on Twitter and stuff like that, I cut people off. I'm like, I don't need to interact with that guy anymore. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain group of comic book people. You all know who I'm talking about. That I don't need to interact. I don't want to talk about them anymore. And when I find out like you're still involved with them, I'm like, I don't have any need to interact with those people. Like, it's like cancer that I'm just exercising. I just want to talk about comic books, and I don't even know new comics anymore. I'm officially a curmudgeon or a grognard. Oh yeah, you're talking about expanded universes. Yeah, make a good movie. And if you want to cross over Doc Savage with the Shadow, just make a good Doc Savage movie. Make a good Shadow movie, and then I don't know, like you said, maybe by the 3rd, 4th movie they could meet. But I don't know, just make a good movie. And I'm tired of reboots, remakes. Is it impossible to come up with a new character, something interesting? I mean, this, what is it, Obsession and Backrooms? These are all new IPs, right?
I was saying this to one of my younger friends, John, and I was saying, you know how you look back at the 30s and the 20s, and it's a completely different world within storytelling than stuff you get in the 50s, because you got World War II and a bit World War One bit, but World War II just breaking the back of what everybody understood as normal for their lives. And I think, we're pretty close to an event like that happening within our world in the next 5 to 15 years. And I'm just waiting to see. Again, this is why my channel concentrates on heroes. I think that the new stories should be based upon the heroic ideal, but these old kinds of stories are going to die a miserable death soon, and we're going to have a, let's say, reordered idea of what the world is and how it works, so that stories work much better.
You do think there's going to be a status quo changing event?
C turn, yeah.
A C turn, is that what that term means? A C turn? What does that mean? Like
we're gonna be going, like, we're going in one direction and we're gonna be turning right around. Like, and we'll be going in the opposite direction.
Oh, not like the ocean, like the letter C turn. Okay.
Yeah.
Turn. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I can't help but think in my guts that something catastrophic is going to happen. And whether that's a good catastrophe or a bad catastrophe is yet to be. But I got this, like, I don't know.
I'd say it's all in how people deal with the suffering, John, because we've been holding that, we've been plugging the dam for so long with our fingers, trying to make sure that suffering doesn't come our way. It's the waters are starting to rise too far.
Right. Like part of me wonders, like, I just got a statement. I got for my job. I got a 401k. I got an annuity. I've got my Social Security, and then I got a pension, and then I got a state pension, and then I got an international pension. So I got like 4 retirement plans, and one of them I completely forgot about. I forgot about the annuity, and like if I was to retire tomorrow, my annuity would take care of my mortgage. I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, oh, but things are better. Me and my wife are like, look at this, and now I'm like, yeah, but America's going to be over in 5 or 6 years. Should I just spend my money now? Like, that's how bad things are going. Like, all right, things are going to be good in 15 years, but there isn't going to be anything in 15 years. Like, it's I'm going to be looking like the Toxic Avenger. And my neighborhood's going to be on fire. You know what I mean? There's going to be like a 3-headed dog just on my lawn. Like that toxic German or something. I'm like,
Invasion of the Body Snatchers kind of thing.
I had a good pension, but now I'm eating like potatoes that I find or something. I think it's pretty obvious that James Gunn is trying to make James Stewart the Green Lantern for the cinematic universe. Yeah, of course he's black, and black people are better than white people, right? I mean, George Floyd is a saint. He did nothing wrong. White people did everything. White people committed all the sins. White people are the devil. The sooner we're eliminated, the better, right? Yeah, because Africa is such a great place. We should all live in Africa. It's so good, right?
Anybody want to write a story called White Planet, where it's colonized by certain individuals?
What gets me mad is a bunch of white people are going to go to Mars, and they're gonna fight the climate. They're gonna terraform it. They're gonna make it nice, and then 200 years from now, they're gonna be like, "We need diversity," and destroy it. I mean, look at India, man. I wanted to go to India so bad. I thought it was so freaking cool. What's his name? Jewel is going to make fun of me, but I always thought Indian women in that traditional makeup and everything, I thought they were so exotic and beautiful, and oh my god. And then the internet happened, and we learned about India. Nobody wants to go there. It is the most, you play that game, you go to geo caches or whatever, and try to find a spot in India with no garbage, and man, the internet just destroyed the mystique of India. Yep, things are gonna get bad. They publish so. I mean, if the judges keep ignoring, if I finished my thought, YouTube is gonna pull my video. They published so many books over the past. Some of them not to be good enough for a movie. And yeah, maybe what's that called? Milkmaid. Maybe that'll be a movie, right? You know what I'm talking about, like that woman who gets a job milking minotaurs.
Oh
It's
my
like I thought it was a joke,
Uh,
but it's porn. It's animal porn. It's bestiality porn. You know, don't objectify women, but read smut. You know, knock it off. Oh, we have an actual woman here to tell me I'm misogynist. Culture isn't changing until people change. Yep. C for Catwoman. Get rid of the grifters. That's one catalyst. We gotta do something. I mean, like we have politicians now. I saw this guy give the speech, and I forget if it's in Minnesota or Texas, but he's a Muslim guy, and he's got the whole Muslim look on it, and he says, "Oh yeah, I believe in freedom of religion, but Christianity's a false religion, so it shouldn't have any rights." You know, and I believe that he believed that. I believe that he didn't think he said anything wrong, which means he shouldn't be in America. Which means you shouldn't be in America. It's like, you know, I also believe we need license reform. You need a license to fish. You need a license to fish. You need a license to provide food for your family. You need a license to collect rainwater. You know, what do they say? A license is just the government taking away your freedom and then charging you for it. You got to pay property taxes. You know, all the liberals like, housing is a right, but then you got to be taxed on your rights. You know, knock it off. And then the judges. We will not go anywhere in this country until this judicial reform. We got to. Judges need to be maybe I'm naive, but a judge has to write down why he made this decision. And then there's got to be a panel that says, no, this is not correct. And that panel overrides the judge or something like that. I mean, that's the most moderate. Otherwise, it's tarred and feathered by the people. And you know, we got to be able to kick judges out. You know, I don't know. No, guys, the first Doc Savage movie with Ron Eli came out nights. Yeah, I heard good things about it. Martian settlers don't want Earthlings. I'm not going to make fun of you for thinking the top 1% of Indian girls they showed in their movies were pretty. You're probably right about that. You're probably right. What's her name? Priore or Raj? Yeah. You're probably right. I may be dumb, but I ain't stupid. Yeah. You know, I always thought like Ukrainian girls are beautiful too, these tall blondes. And then you go there and they look like a talking potato. You know, the top 1% of any race are beautiful. Yeah.
with a unibrow, John. You can't forget the unibrow.
I'll fight the grifters if you pay me. How long do you think before Marvel and DC shut down publication of their own material? I think they're always going to be publishing in some form or another, but I don't know. Will they be webtoons? Will they license out? I don't know. I think that's inevitable. But how long do you think? I don't know. 5 years, 10 years? Teach people to fish instead of eating the park ducks. Yep.
All right. I think Zach Dan has had the last word. We're 1 hour and 57 minutes in, John. And we had actually a really good discussion on pulp fiction and everything that is connected to it. I wanted to talk about off the beaten track stories, and we accomplished our job, I think.
Wow. I took you off the road so far. We got on another road. Good. Yeah, Sound Engraver, you're late. It's our
We're
fault.
early, Sound Engraver.
Yeah, Sound Engraver, it's not your fault, it's our fault because I've been RJ had things that he had to deal with. I had to work overtime. But RJ, how do you feel about 7 p.m. like from now on? That it looks like my job has evened out.
Yep. We work around John's schedule because he's a working man. I work for myself, so I can go one way or the other.
RJ's
yeah, sounds good to me.
And we all should hate him and envy his stuff and position and take from him because we deserve RJ's stuff.
I am the bourgeois Bigfoot.
Yeah, the bourgeois Bigfoot. You can't find him. He's blurry anyway. Bigfoot is always blurry. And I'll explain why in Heroic Tales 5. Why you can't and I can't wait for this to come out because I don't. If I get excited about my stories and then I spoil them. They've got to keep publishing that. Zach Ted, you just brought up a conundrum. Now, RJ, you know that if DC doesn't continuously publish Wonder Woman, they lose the rights. So they need to publish Wonder Woman to keep the rights. If they go to Webtoons or license it out, will they lose the rights? Does anybody know the legality of that?
I don't believe they would. I'm not that well versed in copyright law, but in my mind, I wouldn't think that would violate the terms of publication.
Okay, I don't know either, but that is interesting. That's an interesting thought. I got to ask about that. Sound Engraver. Shelley's Frankenstein is awesome. That is
Yep.
a page turner.
Agreed.
Oh my god, that I love the hell out of that book. So
Well,
much
that
better.
that and Bram Stoker's Dracula are two must reads for anybody. If
I
you're
was just
listening
about to say so much better than Dracula, and I know Brian Bow somewhere just threw his pen down in disgust because we argue about that a lot.
Yeah.
I like Dracula, don't get me wrong, but Frankenstein blew Dracula away.
I like the fact that Dracula is not about Dracula. It's about the friendship built up to try and kill Dracula.
Yeah, yes. A lot they missed the point a lot. And I love the fact that American Texan is the one who finally kills Dracula.
Exactly.
Spoiler alert. They're losing the rights to Wonder Woman in 10 years. Yeah, she goes into public domain, right? Yeah, it might be a moot point. Second read, utterly tragic. Yeah, I really do like. I almost spoiled some, but I have a story I tentatively called American Frankenstein. RJ, did I tell you the premise? I'll tell you because I don't want to tell anybody, but I'll tell RJ. All the good Wonder Woman stuff is from the first years anyway. It's not like they're. Yeah, Wonder Woman really did. I like the George Perez stuff. But yeah, Wonder Woman got the shaft by DC. Because he had a bunch of men who they didn't like Wonder Woman. They didn't want to write Wonder Woman. She got some pretty lame story. But before I go off on the next tangent, we will say goodbye, kids. Anything you want to say before we go, RJ?
Just remind everyone, if you're new here, there are links in the description, both for John's video and for mine, on both of our channels for our books. Mine is Crom the Destroyer. His is Christmas special right now, but you can also get Heroic Tales on Fund My Comic. All of our books are on Fund My Comic right now.
We're on Fund My Comic. I'm also on Kickstarter, and I got to hit that $500. That's the minimum. I'm at $300. So if you're thinking about it, go to Kickstarter just to help me out. I'm talking to a printer now. If you order the books, I'm going to ship everything on Fund My Comic first, but I'm also going to ship the Kickstarter stuff. You know what I mean? At pretty much at the same time, but whatever. I'm talking nonsense. Just back me, support me wherever you can. I just got to hit that $500 threshold on Kickstarter. You know, and but you can get it on Fund My Comic. You can get it on Kickstarter, and I'm going to stop it now before I continue talking. You can see that the caffeine is driving me crazy. So good night, everybody. Goodbye, kids.
See y'all later.
Goodbye, kids.